Hey, hello, Ernesto.
Hi, Dave. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you?
Absolutely good. I tell you what, your hair it's just becoming a world of its own now. It really looks, especially with the glasses off, you look like if you put your collar up now, put your collar up like this. Do this with your collar. You look like Kaniki out of Grease, the movie, which is John Travolta's best mate. It looked like him. It looks fantastic. You're head of the T-Birds or something. Can't remember. Very good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, here we are, and now it's time to change our quarantine meter. And yesterday was 53 days, and now we go to day number 54.
My goodness,
54 days in quarantine, and episode 49. 49 days consecutively. And tomorrow we are going 50 days with you on we haven't missed one.
We promised we'd be there for everybody until we came out of quarantine. And already we're starting to see the world coming out of quarantine in many different countries, or at least in semi, like in Dubai. And so we'll have to have a good chat, Ernesto, about what we're going to be doing next, because I don't know if people are going to want to watch this much longer. I don't know if they want to see your face, my face, all this incredible news about what the world's doing, all these big tips for running a business, all these different ideas for free. Why would anybody want that? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no clue. Well, tomorrow we have big announcements in the 50th episode of the Toilet Paper Diary. So absolutely, you have to be there at this time. Tomorrow we have stud-casted stars.
A star-studded, not a stud-casted.
Star-studded. Well, you know what I mean. So
it sounds like the cast of Magic Mike going, "Hey, baby." It's not that show. We're not doing that. Even for the 50th, maybe 75th or 69, but not for the. No, we'll just carry on.
That's awesome. So today is our last episode on our series Renaissance, and we're going to be talking grit, grace, and gratitude. So I understand grace and gratitude. However, grit is not a very common word everywhere. Of course, of course, I know what it means, and of course, I know what it's all about. But it's just not something that we're using every day. So, Dave, very quickly, tell us a little bit about grit before we actually get started.
But to speak about grit, we've got two videos. One I'd like to share, which is the one I've done, but also an explainer video all about it. Can we show that video, and then it will make more sense? Because I'm sure that's going to do better justice than I could ever do.
Grit is a combination of character traits such as self-control, passion, and perseverance. Many modern psychologists, educators, and parents now believe it's more important for success in life than good grades at school or an outstanding intelligence. At a Stanford experiment in the late 1960s, psychologist Walter Mischel put kids in front of one tasty marshmallow. The 4-year-old children were then promised another one if they had enough willpower not to eat the one in front of them. Then they were left alone for 15 minutes. Some kids hid below the table. Those who were able to delay their gratification got a second treat and many years later became more accomplished adults. They were more healthy, had higher test scores at school, and were socially more competent. Professor Michel and the marshmallow test became famous. Angela Duckworth, a popular psychologist, later invented the so-called grit scale, a questionnaire to predict success. One question: do I finish what I began? She then interviewed gifted businesswomen, accomplished scientists, and other successful people. She found out that self-control, passion, and perseverance were better indicators for success than a high IQ score or fine genes. Let's examine the reasons behind this. Passion leads us to pursue careers that we love. Once we love something, we work hard to succeed, and as a result, can reach excellence. Self-control allows us to wait even if something looks very attractive. This is important because one day a better option might present itself. And perseverance means we keep fighting despite obstacles. It's essential to complete projects that then grow our self-confidence through social recognition. The most gifted minds can't even start if they lack passion and inspiration. One way to develop grit is to realize that we can eliminate our weaknesses with practice. We can learn a new thing by practicing long enough to see actual progress. But we can also study the lives of our role models. Then we understand that football stars train every day and receive constant feedback from professional coaches to develop specific skills. Once we internalize that we can improve our skills, we might realize that we can also practice willpower. For example, to change to a vegetarian diet is hard, but if you start small and try to cut out beef every Sunday, you might soon realize that you can also skip chicken during the week. And when that happens, you learn that you can grow willpower like any other muscle in your body. Then anything is possible, even to become a vegetarian. When we realize that our brain is like any other muscle that grows with training, then willpower and self-control are just a matter of practice. And once we practice something long enough, it can become a habit or even our passion. Some 2,000 years ago, Aristotle supposedly wrote, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Maybe he was right. What do you think about grit?
So there we go. That's probably the best explanation that I could have shared with you about the importance of grit. So there's 5 elements: courage, conscientiousness, perseverance, resilience, and passion. And this whole season, this week, it's been all about Renaissance. And I've been talking about the artistic side of Renaissance, about reinventing your art as your job. So doing your job in an arty way. So I set myself a test. I normally train people to do public speaking in the World Trade Center Club. And I thought, well, could I do a selfie video and talk all the way from my car, all the way to the top floor, through the lift, through the stairs, meeting people, being talking to people? Could I keep it going to the very top, to look out the window without missing a beat? And I thought the only way to do it is to test it and do it. So I decided to put grit to the test. I'm going to carry on talking, whatever. Now, I'm going to put a couple of caveats in here. You'll see that I'm carrying a plastic bag which has got my lunch in. I've just been to, a petrol station. So I've got my healthy drinks in there and my sandwiches. I also pass a policeman who is looking at me thinking, is he allowed to film here? And I smile and he leaves me alone. And the third thing I'm going to say is a person in the elevator with me looks very scared because I carry on talking and get to the very end. And I just wanted to prove a point for anybody who's successful in their life about grit is a way to have as a way of life rather than all the gifts you could have, like being smart, being rich, being connected, being gifted. Just stickability is everything. So I hope you enjoy the video. There's a countdown in case you get bored. Take a look.
Yeah, this is a great video. Before we play the video, let me just say a couple of things about it. It's a great video. I just want you to have into perspective what is actually happening here. I mean, it is the World Trade Center in Dubai. It is the parking lot, and the distance from where the car is to the very top of the building, it's actually quite a lot. And I mean, possibly if you haven't been there, the perspective is not as powerful as when you actually been there. So I want you to understand that this is a long distance, and that's why it's actually very, very impressive what they have done to actually prove the point of grit. Have a look.
I'm Dave Crane. Let me tell you about grit. Most people think it's easy, but they don't really understand it. It's a long story. It's about a long journey. And if you really want to make a difference in your life, then grit's the way that you'll do it. Let me explain. It means pain. It means perseverance on a worldwide scale. It's taking yourself to the next level. And most people don't do that. They don't realize the journey, it doesn't stop. You keep your eyes on the prize. You go wide and never ever let it stop. You go on a journey like this, looking around, wondering where it's going, where's it leading me? And when you stop, you have to take a breath. You have to realize, not everybody's on your side. Most people don't understand, but grit is the one thing that'll take you on your journey. Let me show you something. And I'm exhausted, because the way that it takes you is grit has always got to be trusted. It's a one thing, a unifier that guarantees you will go to a higher level in your life, because somehow you will know nobody else does. Nobody else gets it. Nobody else knows just how much it takes to make it. So is grit the same as perseverance? Is it the same as resilience? Is it the same as talking? Is it the same as goals? It's all the above. But here's the difference. If you decide you've got grit, then it doesn't matter where you're from. Grit beats all. It beats smarts. It beats intelligence. It beats strength of character. It just means you keep your eyes on the prize and keep pushing, non-stop. And that's what we do. Keep pushing. And it means you spend a lot of time on your own, on a journey. Nobody gets it, nobody knows, nobody understands. And as you travel, there's people that travel with you. And they don't know why you're doing it. And you don't have to explain it either. But tests have shown, if you've got grit, the big change that it makes for you is you always become with it. You can move, and you never change. And people come and go, but they always say the same thing. Why do you do this? Why do you stick with it? Why do you just take the easy route? But you can't. Grit doesn't work that way. You lose friends. You lose family. You lose money. You change towns. Go to a new venue. Find new hurdles. Get friends. Get down. Everybody looks and they step off. They take a new journey with you. But the way to stick with it is grit will see you through. If you believe in yourself and you're strong enough, you don't, then you're never going to make it. But here's the thing, if you've got grit, you're always going to take it. And then at the end of your journey, and it doesn't matter who you are, just pushing yourself further and further will get you to somewhere special. And when you get there, you'll know that every single second was worth it. You'll know it. Because when you get to the top and you look at that view and you put down your stuff and you know it's about you can smile, you can love, and you can see it was worth it.
Very cool. Every time that I see that video, I observe more interesting things. I mean, well, first of all, as of course, I've done that exact walk several times, so I know exactly where you're going. And yeah, I could see. I mean, there's the uncomfort of the guy with the hat, plus the big smile of the Filipino boy, which is also
And the fact that the elevator just opens. If you've been there, you normally wait 5 minutes for the elevator to open. The odds of it opening just as I arrive in time and it not being full of people who would be going to every single level, because I would have to keep talking all the way through. That was a deal from a car park to looking out the window. I had to keep it talking. You can see there's a selfie stick I'm holding in the mirror. So I'm carrying this bag, I'm carrying a plastic bag with my luncheon, selfie stick, and I'm just talking non-stop in one take, because there's no edits, to get to the top. So for me, that was the best illustration of what grit is for me, and I hope everyone enjoyed it in the same way.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. And I think right now, grit is something that we definitely require. As soon as we start exploring this new world, it is... I mean, every time I am just completely amazed about the craziness that we're going into. Yesterday, my wife had a baby shower, a virtual baby shower. They were actually playing games. They were actually playing games. They were figuring out the prices for products for babies and trying to figure out what were the pictures of who was who when they were little. So, I mean, it seems that this is exactly the way that we're living in.
So that was done online. It wasn't a proper get-together baby shower.
No, it wasn't Zoom. Online. So everybody had the glass of wine, and they were having a chat, and they were doing all sorts of games and stuff. So, yeah.
It's incredible. I was chatting to a client today, and they were saying that they had a meeting. It's a really high, well-known client. I won't mention the name. They had a meeting about how we get everybody to feel comfortable when they get back into the office. And I spoke to the big boss, and I said to her, they're not going to get back in your office. That's it. Right now, your office has got 30% of the people are allowed to come in. And because you've got cubicles, the spacing means it's going to be less than that. You'll have about 10% of your company coming in. They're all going to have to wear masks. They're all going to have to bring their own food. They're not allowed to share cups and anything. They've got to keep a distance. And I mean, in South Korea, I mentioned this before, you're not allowed to make people laugh in case they cough and they splutter in front of you. So you've got to keep it relatively low key. Now you got a choice. You can do that or stay at home and do the same job and get paid the same money. Duh. And I think that's what's going to happen to a ton of companies. I think the day of the office is really coming close to an end. Not completely, because it makes sense to have people working together and the vaccine will change everything. But for many people, this is so comfortable. Why would you want to change it? Go out to socialize when there's no vaccine, but why would you go back to an office to work?
Yeah, well, there's a very interesting clip that we have from the BBC that is actually explaining how things are going to work. Now, there's some shocking things that are actually mentioned on this video, and we will talk about it after you watch the whole thing. Have a look.
Social distancing could be around until 2022. It slows the spread of the virus and prevents the healthcare system from being overwhelmed. As we begin to lift social distancing measures, we run the risk of cases resurging. So we should reopen cautiously and gradually. But what could this life look like? Working, learning, and socializing remotely might become the norm. We might see alternative measures, such as holding larger meetings over teleconference, or those who can, working from the office only every other week. Crowded locations may also be modified to prevent people from coming into close contact. For example, we could see restaurants reopen with only half as many tables, or we could see public transportation vehicles limiting their capacity. Large live events, such as sporting events or concerts, could be banned for some months to come. Wearing face masks could become a part of our normal routine. Face masks help prevent individuals that are infected, but might not be showing symptoms yet or only have mild symptoms, from spreading the disease to others. Finally, testing. Anyone who suspects they could have the infection should be tested immediately and should be isolated at home for the duration of their infection. Anyone who they come into close contact with over the last few days would be followed up with using the help of digital technology, such as mobile apps. Like a dimmer switch, these interventions and others could be scaled up or down as needed. This will likely look different in different places, but communities should seek to learn from and support one another as we move forward into this next phase of the pandemic.
Very interesting. One of the things that hit me on that video is when she says that, office spaces, you might go back every other week. Who can afford to have an office in the center of town where your staff are only coming in dribs and drabs and they're only going to be in every other week? The real estate won't be able to sustain it, and so people aren't going to do it. There's going to be so many buildings that used to be packed, and I don't know what's going to happen to them. Maybe it'll all come back again. I'm not convinced.
Well, and the other thing is how the video starts. I mean, social distancing is going to last until 2022. I don't think it's too far-fetched. I mean, just think about it. We are already half of 2020. I think easily we can go another year with social distancing. Now, I'm not saying that what's going to happen is that we are going to be in quarantine, because one thing is quarantine and the other thing is social distancing. And the reason why I predict that this is going to be fairly accurate is because of how I feel myself. And I don't think that I am the only one actually having this feeling. Right now, if I go out and I start walking the dogs, which is one of my few outings that I have, I go and see people, I instantly, without even thinking, I will move away as far away as possible as I can from them. This is already embedded in my mind. Do you think that I'm the only one? What do you think? If you're actually watching the show right now, give us some comments. Are you feeling the exact same way? So it's already part of our behavior. So we are already doing it. So it's going to actually take a while before we say, okay, now it's fine to go and sit next to somebody that might spit on me.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, can you imagine how many times you've sat in the vicinity of somebody who's got a cold in the past? It's just a thing. Sometimes they don't cover the nose properly. Sometimes they don't use a handkerchief or whatever. And it's really annoying and thinking, oh, my goodness. But you're not thinking this is going to kill me. So it's going to, supposing this whole thing runs until the middle of next year, then very likely to undo it will take about another 3 years before people feel comfortable going up to a stranger and giving him a hug, or even letting a stranger hug you, because you don't know who they are or what they got. It's freaky, even with a vaccine, because this came from out of nowhere. You don't know if there's a new one doing the rounds and nobody's told us yet. So it's going to be very, very, very challenging to see what happens next.
Absolutely crazy. So that is.
I'd still hug you, though, Ernesto. I would still hug you.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly. I was going to say, if I see you, I'll definitely hug you.
I would hug you. I would hug you through Zoom. That's how I'd hug. I'd be like that. I'd touch the screen. I'd say, "I love you, my brother." But we go like that. Like just go nanu or whatever that is. Live on and prosper.
I haven't heard nanu for a long time. Hey, we had some stuff that we mentioned that we were going to be showing, and I mean, it's been now Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and now it's Thursday, and we still haven't shown it. And I think it's now very appropriate that we show it, because it's going to really fit well with how we are seeing the world right now, which is fashion. I think it's interesting. This is an interview with Michael Kors, the designer, and my wife and my daughter really love all the designs from Michael Kors. So I think it will be interesting to have a look at what he has to say about the fashion of 2020 and beyond.
Well, we're clearly big fashion guys, so it matters to us as well.
Yeah.
This is Nancy Giles. Whether slicing lemons in his kitchen, reading a book in his nook, or sporting that trademark black tee and blazer, leave it to Michael Kors to look good under lockdown.
Okay, what's the whole outfit? What have you got down there? You got some
Okay, you ready? Okay, so you know what? We stand up. I've got my cargos on.
And for one of the most recognizable names in fashion, what Kors is wearing these days isn't just about style.
We want the things that make us feel like our best self. That when we put it on, we feel confident, because when you feel confident, you're going to have a better day. We all have to stay to a schedule, because we do want to know what life's going to be like when we come out of this.
Let's face it, what we're wearing right now says a lot about how we're feeling.
It's like the most
wallpaper.
It's the most stylish backing I've seen doing these.
Sophia Tang is the creative director of Bloomingdale's.
I'm going to share some ideas.
She gave us a private tour of the flagship store in New York.
From a retail point of view, what kinds of things are you seeing people doing?
So there's the very logical and expected, like clothes that are comfortable.
Right.
PJs, robes, loungewear, workout clothes. We're definitely seeing a spike in pajamas.
Yes, comfort is key. Just ask Robin Givon, a Pulitzer Prize-winning fashion critic for the Washington Post.
I mean, there are going to be good days and bad days. There are going to be days when your anxiety gets the better of you, when the stress gets the better of you. And, I think sometimes it's okay if you just want to wear your pajamas and sort of take a moment.
But cozy shouldn't define the day.
I think if you just have a favorite sports jersey or a favorite pair of sneakers that you love or a favorite piece of jewelry, just anything that can remind you of happier memories.
And memories are a big part of what Laura Lipman is doing every evening. An author, Lipman trades in those pajamas once a night for an outfit that has a special place in her heart. She photographs herself in it and posts the image on her Instagram page.
And I did it, and wow, this feels great. I don't know why, but I'm of the mindset right now that anything that makes you feel good, you should be doing it. I really like the very basic lace and tailor dress that I wore to my stepson's bar mitzvah 13 years ago. But it brings back this entire weekend.
And back to Michael Kors, who's donating $2 million to coronavirus relief efforts. He sees a brighter future of style and substance.
I think when we come through this, I think we're going to see that no one wants to give up comfort. But at the same time, I think we're going to all enjoy getting a little dressed again. I think there's going to be, that moment that you want to put something on that gives you that boost of confidence. So I don't think we're going to live the rest of our days in slippers and sweats. I hope not.
What do you think then, Ernesto? Because I've always thought of you as a big fashion guy, until obviously you. I mean, you disappoint me. Before the lockdown, I got some suits made, some tailor-made suits, and they're actually invisible to me right now. I don't see any of the dress-up clothes that I would have, and I don't want to put them on. I can't even think when I'd want to put them on. Literally having meetings with clients, I wear a polo shirt, and I'll still do an interview like that, for some work together. And it's not seen as being a bad thing at all. But I think that there is a thing which, I've been called in to actually train people on digital stagecraft, that ability to set it out. One of the things to challenge people is if you've got a certain computer, I won't say which one it is, the actual camera is down at the bottom. So therefore, whenever you're talking to people, you look like that. So people can see up your nose. Now, what happens is the distance between you right now, I'm on a Mac, so it's at my head height. But it's deliberately like that. I'd raise it up otherwise. If you're looking down on somebody, it looks like you're telling them off, and they can see up your nose. And that has a big impact on the relationship that you're creating. If in the backdrop, you've got something that doesn't really look good, then people see you as not making the effort. That is probably more important than the clothes you're wearing for that. I was told by a client today, she had a guy she was interviewing wearing a white shirt with grey hair and a white background, and he was a white guy. So he was almost invisible with the way that the thing looked. So I think a lot of people are going to have to reconsider what they have at home anyway and the way that they dress themselves, because even on Zoom, they've got this feature where you can make an imaginary backdrop and drop it behind you. But it looks imaginary. It looks not real. And it's a gimmick, but no, you want to do something with your house. I think to do.
You're talking about stagecraft, and right now, digital stagecraft. Basically, our stage is just behind us. That's our stage, if you think about it. So it is just absolutely critical that you start thinking about exactly where you're doing your videos. Previously, you were not aware and it wasn't important. But if you like to look more professional, right now it's not the time to be wearing ties and jackets. But I think it's absolutely critical that you are properly, you have a proper stage behind you. And I mean, halfway through all the episodes, or possibly a little bit before halfway, I remember that we actually talked about it, and we did it. And as I was saying, the same thing I did, because this was something that was brought up to me by somebody, which immediately noticed. You start noticing things. If I actually move my camera and you start seeing what's over here, I have sports equipment, which I won't show because it has all these clothes on top of it. Right. Okay. I want to have all this stuff back there with the map and everything there, because of course that's the frame that I want to that I want to be using. So I definitely think that the way to do things is not so much about what you're wearing, but it is more than anything about the stage that is behind you. We have here a comment from Brenda. Brenda McGuire. She's saying, having been working at home for years, I always try to dress up, even now, as I feel more professional. Yeah, I think it's great that everybody's taking it the way that they want. I have seen some people that do actually dress for the occasion, but I mean, it is. I don't think that now it's a protocol, and you're going to look unprofessional if you are not wearing a tie. But I think it looks unprofessional if you have a crappy background.
I think it also makes a big difference on which profession you're in and who you're dealing with, because I'm not remotely involved in fashion, and no disrespect to the fashion people in the world who may be watching this, but when I'm watching fashion people talking about, it's important to get this right and get the whole thing to match, all I hear is meow, 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 meow. It doesn't register on me at all, because it's not something I'm particularly interested in. But if it's somebody wants to talk to me about, the layout of how they're going to present something and the importance of the content, then my ears are straight up an edge and my eyes, I'm checking it all out. So I think it depends on who you're working with. Because in our particular industry for speakers, you dress up when you go on stage, but you really don't make the effort until you're actually going to be on stage. But that bit where you're talking to people is a perception. When you're dealing with companies that have staff all around the world, for some people, what we might call pajamas is their national dress. It's the clothes that they would normally wear. So you can't really put those confines on to say you didn't make the effort when they've actually made the effort, but in your culture, it's not. So I think it would take a long time before there's I think there's a very Western view that we saw in that video about what means dressing up and dressing down. You got to take a whole lot of the world into context, because we're now a global force. We're now a global entity. We're not our city, our town, or our country anymore, because you can't leave the house to go to work.
Absolutely, fully agree. Another thing that, actually, this is my lead into the news, and I think it's going to be an interesting fact. I mean, this is a video that you shared with me. It's Homer Simpson, and he's supposed to be a pilot. And I think this video is just so funny. And I tell you exactly why I'm actually using it as my lead-in for the news.
And I'll just get us started.
We'll need that to live.
I mean,
that's how I would fly a plane.
I think it's exactly what's going on. I mean, the poor planes are just rusting out there, and there's nothing really happening. And you know also what happens. This is a critical thing that still has not happened, but it's going to happen. I mean, in order for you to keep your flying license valid, you need to refresh it every 90 days. And I mean, we're actually getting close to some pilots that have not flown that long. So, I mean, that is very similar to what is going on.
Do you want to be? Would you feel comfortable being on the first flights after the quarantine?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I'm a big flyer and I'm a big traveler, and I keep on asking myself, am I ready to travel? And every single time that I ask myself that question, the answer is no.
Not at all.
But anyway, talking about flying, and let me just get into the news. This is something that happened, and this is also something which is relatively controversial, and I think it is something that we have to put a stop in, because I'm sick and tired of this BS. Yesterday, while we were doing the show, the Blue Angels, which are the top pilots from the U.S. Navy, were overflying Houston, as we just see down here. I heard them, but I couldn't see them because we were actually doing the show live. So I said, well, as soon as we finish the show, I wanted to see what was going on. And I tell you, I am not American, and I felt proud. I thought it was just an awesome thing. I felt great. I talked to Pete Garcia, and we thought, well, this is great, and this is a very nice thing. And then the government did it because they wanted to salute all the frontliners, all the people which are working in the front line. And I thought it was an awesome thing. Okay, long story short, I go and start watching on social media, and there was all these people saying, oh my God, how is it possible that they're wasting time on these guys flying over here? A flyover would have paid to such amount of ventilators, to such amount of PPEs and protectors and masks and all these kinds of things. And I go like, are you serious? I mean, in reality, there's also, I understand that there's the people which are in the hospitals and whatever, but what about us that are in the house? What about us which are actually just stuck here at home? We, of course, would like to see some attention, and this, for me, was a very good thing. What are your thoughts? You're not in the States, but what are your thoughts on that, Dave?
I want to give you a virtual hug. Nanu, my friend. Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. First of all, I don't care. I don't live there, whatever. That's a really bad way of attitude. So what I'm going to say instead is I think that it's important to do what you can do to get through this. And not all of it makes sense. Eating food that's healthy is better for you, but eating comfort food sometimes is the right thing to do because your emotions are really at the depth of this as well. I think that it's very easy to criticize decisions made by others because they don't fit in with your own particular life. But in this case, I actually join in with you despite my own thoughts about many other things. If it made people happy, then it was worth doing. Whether you buy ventilators or PPEs or anything is a separate, it's like apples and pears are different conversations. But if you have an auditorium full of people all breaking social distancing to stare up at the planes, then that didn't work. If people are looking from their gardens or from their windows or watching it live on TV, then for me, that's happy days. There's enough money, there's enough opportunities, there's enough to go around for everybody, and something that makes people think there's a bigger world still out there, and we're going to go back to it, in my opinion, it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good thing. And I have to tell you, there were a few parking lots that had a lot of people gathered together to be able to see the flyover. But that is also stupidity of people. We're talking about planes. If you just stand down here and then you start looking up, you will be able to do it out of your backyard. But there's some people that were stupid enough to actually go and got together and clamped there in a parking lot. Now, who are we going to blame for that? Are we going to blame the Blue Angels? Are we going to blame the government? Are we going to blame the U.S. Navy? I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's what people do. I think one of the most defining moments in my life, I'm sure it's true in your life, and it's probably true for most of the people who've enjoyed watching this show, is the difference between success and not success in your life is when you realize that it's your fault whether you make it or not. 3% of the population are into personal development and self-improvement. Everybody else just goes shopping and blames the news and the weather and their parents and whatever it is. You have the final say in what goes on in your life, and one day you'll have that reckoning when you look back at it and say, I could have done more. That's not going to happen to me. I could happily end whenever. But I think that's what it comes down to. People handing over the reins of their lives to other people and blaming them if it doesn't work out the way that they want it to. So, I'm still for it. I've worked with the Red Devils a number of times with the rugby events I've done in Dubai, and it's a phenomenal thing for people to watch, and it's really inspirational. It's really powerful for you to think that's beautiful, it's man-made, it's all synchronized together, and it's made me feel happy.
Yeah, well, this reminds me of this story with this cartoon also. We have these people that they say, yeah, we call you heroes, and then you go to a barbecue. Then we call you angels, but then you go to a packed church service. Then they say, well, you herald all the sacrifices, and then push open very soon. save your applause, because that's exactly what it feels like. I mean, it's like you're stabbing people in the back. It's just like, we have to at least come on and understand that this is something that affects people in a different way, and everybody has to understand the world in a complete different way. And this is one of the reasons why, for example, when you're in social media, try to observe. I mean, I find it fascinating. Diversity is, for me, a complete eye-opener. And this is something that I enjoy. I mean, just look at this video. I think it's just really, really funny. Somebody working with their pet. I mean, for me, I think it's just fascinating, don't you think? It's great.
Yeah, they'd probably be married by now if they spend that long in quarantine.
But you
it
see,
looks like he's well trained.
Instead of actually trying to see who I can blame and what things I could do, I try to see the goodness in people, especially right now in pets. I mean, I think it's just fascinating what people are doing with animals. I mean, look at what this guy did in his backyard, which I thought is very sweet. He created
he put on the squirrel suit.
No, well, it's not furries, it's real squirrels. But he also this one is absolutely fantastic. I love it.
Go on. That is cute. That is beautiful.
Very sweet, don't you think?
That is wonderful. I mean, I've got 2 dogs, and if you introduced a cat to the house, it wouldn't be pleasant. But there you go. It just goes to show. But if it brought up together, it works very well. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's great. And look at the creativity of this lady. I think, I mean, everybody's talking about the mask and all these kind of things. I think this is a lot more effective than wearing a mask. Have a look. She's just basically...
She's getting Alice band for your hair. She's getting cellophane that you'd normally put a document into. And she's threading them together. What's she going to make? I'm interested to see what's happening here.
I mean, look at the creativity. I think this is just really amazing. She's actually going to do a face protector.
That is very cool.
Yeah. Isn't this awesome?
That is very cool. Would it work? Does that work?
Well, I mean, the thing is, what are you? People are not going to talk underneath you. I mean, you're basically trying to cover yourself from someone spitting or anything like that, which I think it's a lot more powerful than a mask. One of those masks that people are wearing.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that the masks are the best. They seem to me like a ridiculous piece of survival kit. Because, okay, they might cover your nose, but they're paper thin. They block your ability to talk to people. If you're outside, I mean, Dubai's really hot. You can't breathe properly. And it just seems to me like it would do more damage than good. I understand that you need something. And I've just been waiting all this time for somebody to come up with something that's more practical, like see-through, like that you can just attach, take off. That wouldn't just make it really difficult. Because a stick on your ear, it's not the best thing. It clearly works in hospitals, but for real normal work, doesn't work for me. I'll wear it, and I do when I walk the dogs. I don't like it though.
Yeah, no, I don't like it either. Yesterday, I saw our good friend Andrea Gomez, which is doing reports. I mean, I think the work that she has been doing is phenomenal. I mean, she's been reporting on every single business and how they're doing and everything. I mean, I find it a little bit risky in some ways, but I think if it will not be because of people like them, we will not know what's going on. So she basically went there and she did an entire interview with a mask, and that was a bit of a challenge because, of course, it was hard to understand. So yeah, I understand that this kind of thing I think is going to be working a lot better. Now,
but if you had a see-through mask, it's doable. It just looks a little bit weird. When you're wearing that, it looks like you're sniffing somebody's pants, and you can't see what people are saying. I mean. Here's what's really weird, right? When you talk to somebody and say, "How are you?" Well, that's right. Well, that's perfect. You can't see people's expressions with a mask on. All right, let's see this.
Yeah, this is basically the new lockdown candles that they should exist. So we have hugs from my mom, my dad's Sunday roasts, a warm pub on a cold day.
Nice.
Those are the different lockdown candles. Desert campfires, sea air, and sunset, or whatever it is there. I cannot read. Hairspray for a night out. So those are going to be the lockdown candles that should exist for different smells.
Well, you know what? I mean, I've got one of those oil diffuser things in here, an air purifier, and you can put in peppermint, you can put in like sandalwood and stuff like that. And it's only a matter of time until somebody starts manufacturing what the outside world would smell like. So it's not that ridiculous to get access to it. When it's Christmas, we have caramel ones that we burn in the house. And it just makes you feel Christmassy all the time anyway. So yeah, I'm up for it. I'll buy some of that straight away.
That reminds me when we were little that they had those scratch and sniff stickers. They had some of the weirdest smells.
You go, what's this one? Oh, a fart. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Anyway, you see, this is a great video also, and this is a tip that you have to take a note of because it's really fantastic. Listen up.
You're gonna thank me for this one. So, the best quarantine hack of all time, go to makemeadrink.com. Select all of the things that you have in your house right now. So you put in all the spirits, the wine, all the mixers, everything you have in your house. Chocolate, coffee, Tabasco sauce. So you have everything available to you in quarantine, and then you click the magic button, make me a cocktail. And then it shows you every cocktail you can make ever.
Isn't that brilliant?
I think it is. What's it called again, the website?
Yeah, it's I have to play it again. I think we're gonna
makemeadrink.com.
That's why I said pay attention because this is a really, really
Hold
good
on, let me just check while we're live on air. Let me just check. Make me a drink.
I think that's what it is.
I think she said. Let me just check to see if it's correct, and we'll be able to see. Hopefully, if my internet works out that fast. No, that site's gone.
Here we go again. Okay, here it goes.
Right,
You're gonna thank me for this one. So, the best quarantine hack of all time, go to makemeadrink.com.
It is makemeadrink.com.
No, I think it's gonna makemeadrink.com. I just put in makemeadrink.com, and it's available for sale on GoDaddy.
Well, I think it's a good idea to actually go and search for it. But I think it's a brilliant thing. Anyway, I would like to say hello to all the people which are watching us live right now. I mean, our good friend Simon Leong is there. Hello, Jan-Willem Gudrian. How are you? Also to see you. Brenda McGuire, Munir Abu Saidi, Dr. Abdul Karim Afuni. Hello, Abdul Karim. We see Tony Maloli. We see Mariana Iturbide. Again, hola, Mariana. Good to see you again. And everyone else which is watching our very... and this is actually a little bit painful to say, but it's going to be our last regular episode.
Penultimate.
Of this season.
Penultimate episode.
Yeah.
So one before the end. That's what it is.
Correct. That is correct. We basically took it, and I think this is how we got it. Basically, the toilet paper diaries started with the reason why we call it the toilet paper diaries because when we got started there was very little toilet paper. Now things have changed, and tomorrow we have the end of the series on the super incredible special 50
oh my goodness
50 that you need to watch tomorrow at noon.
And that, I can tell you, Ernesto, while we were doing this, I got a WhatsApp message from royalty saying they're going to come on the show tomorrow. I could show you who it is, but I can't do because it's top secret. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Royalty. Oh my
awesome.
goodness. It's crazy. This show tomorrow is going to be something phenomenal. The only thing we haven't got is probably Trevor Noah, but that'll be next time.
Well, don't be surprised. That is something I haven't shared with you, but don't be surprised. So
we'll see.
Anyway, that is exactly what we're going to be having. So make sure that you have it. And even though that we're not going to be, we're going to restructure the whole thing. We have a new name for it for season 2, which season 2 is going to be different because, of course, now we have evolved. Every single thing that we have recorded has been put together in our podcast, and you can just go and listen to it. If you haven't, I mean, we have shared some amazing content throughout these 50 days. So make sure to listen to it at bit.ly toilet paper podcasts. And Dave, we have knocked down 49 straight days. Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible because we did make a promise to everybody that what we would do is we'd be there for them during the lockdown and the quarantine. And Brenda's just told me, by the way, she said if you go to makemeacocktail.com, that's where you can make out of these cocktails. That's what's in that video. I just checked it. That's,
it's makemeacocktail.com. Yeah, that is exactly what he's saying.
But yeah, we made a promise.
Great, Brenda. Thank you very much for.
We made a promise that we'd be here for everybody as long as they needed us. I mean, we had no idea where the show was going, but we just wanted to be there to be able to chat and make people feel better. And so we've done that. And it's almost like we should just be able to, hang our guns up and walk off into a sunset going, good job done, and do one of our virtual hugs and hand slaps and nanus and say, you know what, I'll see you on the other side. And then for you, you've got a whole day ahead to go out and watch the planes fly over. And for me, I can drink heavily. So it works for everybody. Make a cocktail of any.
But anyway, what we're doing, and I think what we're planning for season 2, which is going to be called Fast Forward. So the Toilet Paper Diaries presents Fast Forward. We're going to really revolutionize the web television industry, and we're super excited. We just need a little bit of time to regroup, to make sure that everything is working fine so that we can actually come back to you with some more amazing content. We're incredibly grateful about everybody which has been watching us. This is Renaissance Grit, Grace, and Gratitude. We have one last video that we want to show you, which I think it will just close this series very nicely. So make sure to be there tomorrow for episode 50. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And guess what? We're going to be actually formally dressed. Is that the dress code?
You are. Well, I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to wear, but I know, as usual, above the surface, I will look glamorous and beautiful, and below, possibly commando. We shall see.
Okay, so see you tomorrow, and enjoy this last video of our series, Renaissance. Have a look.
See you tomorrow. Stay safe.
Yes, there is fear. Yes, there is isolation. Yes, there is panic buying. Yes, there is sickness. Yes, there is even death. But they say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes, but blue and grey and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other across the empty squares, keeping their windows open, so that those who are alone may hear the sounds of family around them. They say that a hotel in the west of Ireland is offering free meals and delivery to the housebound. Today, a young woman I know is busy spreading flyers with her number through the neighbourhood, so that the elders may have someone to call on. Today, churches, synagogues, mosques and temples are preparing to welcome and shelter the homeless, the sick, the weary. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality. to how big we really are, to how little control we really have, to what really matters, to love. So we pray and we remember that yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death, but there can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now. Today, breathe. Listen. Behind the factory noises of your panic, the birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming. And we are always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul. And though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, see.
I'll do the same thing tomorrow. Sit here on my butt and eat a churro. That seems fun. I've got 7 Zooms tomorrow. They'll say words like circle back and cash flow to everyone. All my kids wanna play all day. I'm